Welcome to the 2014 Old Buckenham Air Show. I'm Tracey Hamilton.
I'm Guilbert, and we have a fabulous weekend lined up for you.
With something for everyone.
We have a hangar dance, flying displays, military vehicles, and classic cars.
And a world record attempt from Brendan O'Brien, our famous barnstormer. So let's go! I'm here with Steve Garrett, the curator of the East England Military Museum. Steve, can you take us through your military encampment and show us some of the new toys that you have this year?
Yeah, by all means. When I stood in front of the Mark IV First World War tank, we did a restoration on this over the course of this year. It was used initially in the film Flyboys. It's made to represent a tank called a hermaphrodite.
Right.
The sponsons on the side that carry the weaponry, they're interchangeable between the marks of tanks. On the left hand side, on this one we've got the 6-pounder gun, and on the right hand side it carries the Lewis guns.
It looks very realistic.
Yeah, we've had quite a lot of people comment already today, the realism of it, and people come up tapping it to make sure it's not actually metal.
So is this the snowcat that you were telling me about?
Yeah, this was designed for use in Norway, predominantly, as the badge says on our side, the Ace Mobile Force. It was a force that trained with the Norwegian Army and the Marines. The vehicle was used to tow soldiers on skis across the vast open plains in Norway.
Oh, wow.
Used from the late 70s up until the mid-90s, and it was replaced by a plastic version, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, they got a more lightweight version, the BV206. This is an old petrol engine, lovely old truck, a little bit cold when you're inside it.
And it's usually covered like it is in the back, correct?
Yeah, we've made a cover for the back of it. It's not the exact one, but it resembles more how the vehicle would look.
And what's our next piece, the Foden?
Yeah, we're going to go and look at the big toy now.
Okay, yay, I'm excited. So this is your new favorite toy, a 27-ton beast.
It is.
Tell us about this gem.
This is the Foden recovery vehicle. Designed for use in the Cold War period in the 80s. Came out of service last year. As you can see, she needs a bit of a lick of paint.
She still looks fabulous.
This is an absolute monster. She's got a 12-ton crane, a winch that can cope with up to 50 tons on a pull, and she will tow a vehicle of up to 40 tons. When it was built in the 80s, as you can see, this is the tallest production cab in Europe. She's an absolute monster.
We're here with Graham McAdam, owner of this Land Rover 110 V8. Graham, looks like there's a lot of kit here and it's fully loaded. Can you tell us the background about this vehicle?
Yeah, basically it was commissioned to the RAF. It was originally at RAF Coltishall. It was a very short time before it was whisked out to Afghanistan.
One of the things I find interesting about the Land Rovers is that I think these are built in situ, so they basically accommodate whatever the driver needs or whatever the situation is.
Yes, they before the advent of the WWII, which is basically a factory-built one of these, slightly different, but basically the same sort of thing, they had to make do amend. So whatever a unit wanted, whatever function, this one would have been used for airfield security, some escort work, that kind of thing, probably patrolling perimeters. So it's got heavy and light armament on it. It can also be used for comms as well. It's got a 27-metre mast on the side, which will give you a good range for comms, you know, should you need it if you're a bit further away than maybe you'd normally be operating.
What I find so fascinating about this vehicle is this incredible gun here. Can you tell us how it was used during the time?
Yeah, basically it's a general purpose machine gun, 7.62. It's a swing mount. It swings this way. It also rotates that way, so that gives you a really good field of fire. Will elevate as well. Normally, operationally, you would not have the windscreen up. or the roof, they be gone because they restrict the field of fire completely. It's
So
just
you
there
could
for the-
either fold it forward or just get it
Absolutely.
out of there.
Yeah, and they're purely and simply there for the crew's comfort. Normally, operationally, the gun would be sitting in front of the passenger gunner, so then you've got forward fire.
So they're not leaning out, it's forward fire.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can traverse left and right if need be, but basically for effectiveness, that's the best place to have it.
Thank you. I love this vehicle. We're here with Steve Madams from the EDP. Steve, I gather this whole event is thanks to you.
I wouldn't say it's thanks to us. I'd say we're definitely a firm part of it now, and we're very pleased to be a part of the Old Buckenham Air Show.
Why is the Old Buckenham Air Show so important to the EDP?
It's a local show. In my opinion, it's the biggest air show this side of Duxford. It brings so many local people together for a wonderful weekend, and it's great we ordered this wonderful weather.
We did, it's fabulous. Can you tell us what a media partnership involves?
A media partnership means that we basically offer you, offer the air show, guaranteed editorial, some activity to make sure we market it for you using our platforms such as the newspaper, the East Anglia Press, our websites, our TV channel, Mustard TV, which is on Channel 8 if anyone is local in Norfolk, Channel 8. So yeah, we basically give you coverage to make sure everybody hears about the show.
Well, I know the organizers are very grateful for everything you've done for them, so thanks for talking to me today.
No problem.
We have the most beautiful collection of pristine classic cars from all over the world.
We're here with Rod Dean, ex-RAF squadron leader, who's flying in the Bulldog this weekend. Rod, I have a question about why the Bulldog is the RAF trainer of choice for the 70s through the 90s.
Well, it replaced the Chipmunk, and you can see the Chipmunk in the background there, a beautiful trainer, but it was getting long in the legs, and they really needed a new one, and this was a British-built aircraft, and side-by-side seating, tricycle undercarriage, and a very nice aerobatic trainer, so it was the logical choice to replace the Chipmunk.
So you've been flying for 51 years, aerobatics for 30 years. Can you tell me what your favorite plane was that you've flown?
That's a real difficult question, but because I always insist on having two. On the jet side, it was the Hunter, which is a glorious aeroplane, and I've got nearly 3,000 hours in the Hunter. But on the piston side, it's got to be the Spitfire. Nothing beats a Spitfire. The Mustang's lovely, the Bearcat's lovely, they're all lovely, but a Spitfire's gorgeous.
Since you've been displaying at all these wonderful air shows, what do you love what's the thing you love most about doing this?
Well, it's fun. And it's got to be fun because we're all doing it, or the vast majority of people who do air shows are doing it for pleasure and not for any remuneration or anything like that. I enjoy doing it. Hopefully the crowd will enjoy it, and it'll be nice and relaxed, and we'll all enjoy ourselves. So
it is fun. We have a glorious, glorious weekend planned for everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You have got to come and see this. It's absolutely beautiful. Follow me. This is David Lobb, who is the owner of this wonderful Caravan, and I'm going to ask him a little bit about its history and how he looks after it. So, David, tell us a little bit about the history of the Caravan.
This is a 1929 Eccles touring caravan, one of the first designs of a caravan which could be towed behind a car, as opposed to the Gypsy Romany caravans horse-drawn.
Mm-hmm.
The car and the caravan combination new back in the day, 1920s. Well, would you buy the combination or would you buy a semi-detached house in London? Because that's the sort of money we'd be talking about.
And what were you getting for your money in 1929? The interior looks really quaint and very beautiful. What were the fittings like?
Originally, all of the woodwork in here would have been French polished. Sadly, I can't run to that. But everything you see is original, except the floor covering and the new upholstery. That that is replacement. Everything else is original.
And tell me, what's it like to drive when you're actually on the road and you're pulling it with the Vauxhall?
It's good fun, but you have to have your wits about you. You keep the speed down. 30, 35 mile an hour is about the maximum you'd want to go. Crosswinds can be a problem. The Caravan's quite high up and slab-sided, obviously. It tends to rock about on the leaf springs. That's the only suspension on the thing. Keep an eye on what's happening in front. Brakes are adequate, but that's about it. Just adequate.
So no power assisted steering or additional braking power?
Oh, no. Heresy.
And tell me, do you sleep in the Caravan?
Oh yeah, I use it on a regular basis, shows, exhibitions and so on and so forth. So I get 2, maybe 3 nights I'll be sleeping in the thing whilst I'm away. Quite comfortable. It's not the deluxe, Ritz or anything like that, but it's reasonably comfortable for a Caravan that's well over 80 years old.
And what happens next?
I keep maintaining it as best as I possibly can to keep it in the condition that it needs to be kept in. Important piece of social history. Then, when I'm perhaps too old to enjoy it, it will either go to my daughter or my son. If they have no interest, then I'm hoping to find another enthusiast who can continue to maintain it and use it as it should be.
Part of our heritage continues through you and hopefully through your successor.
Indeed, social history, very, very important. There's so few of these left for people to actually see. That every single one is so vital to keep it as it should be.
David, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for giving us the privilege of looking around your Caravan, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're here with Dr. John Nolan, who's a volunteer for this weekend at Old Buckenham. John, can you tell us the kind of emergencies that you're ready for in this situation?
Well, most of the emergencies we get asked to see are relatively minor. So we see some heat stroke and some cuts and scratches. About 3 years ago, we had an elderly gentleman who had a heart attack. So we were able to stabilise him, get him into an ambulance, get him on his way. But clearly our biggest fear is that something catastrophic happens, a real problem with one of the aircraft. And when that happens, everything happens pretty precipitously. Fortunately, in the last 7 or 8 years since I've been here, we haven't had such an incident, and hopefully this weekend will be the same.
And you work with Dr. Mormay as well. He'll be here tomorrow with you.
Yeah, Mornay Wilmerans is one of our anaesthetists from the Norfolk and Norwich, and so my orthopaedic experience and his anaesthetic experience works
It's time
quite well.
to fasten your seatbelts and hang on tight. Sit back and enjoy the 2014 air display.
As Rob Green gets aboard on the Bulldog, before 10 later, he's going to climb to height. But it's what you see now is an aerial ballet. 4, 5.
Hi, I'm so excited, Catherine. I heard that you just got your pilot's license, and I'm wondering if you can tell us how long it took you to get it and the whole experience of it.
Oh, I'd be delighted, thank you. I'm really excited too. Here's my license.
Oh my God, I love
This
it.
is actually what it looks like, and it says inside that I'm now qualified to fly plane.
Fantastic.
Single engine piston plane. I started flying here in 2011 and joined the club with Jerry Honey and Howard Barber. And Howard was my first instructor, and he is just so fun to fly with.
Oh my God, he's so lovely.
Well, flying's quite intimidating because you're in 3 dimensions, so it's very different to being on the ground in a car. And people say, wasn't it just a bit like driving a car but up in the air? No, because you're an awful long way down if something goes wrong.
Right.
And both Howard and Jerry are just so comfortable to be with, so supportive, so thoughtful and patient in the cockpit.
Well, you've had top-notch instruction here.
Well, I have. I couldn't have asked for more. Jerry, as you know, is a fighter pilot, and Howard is an airline pilot. So I've got 2 sets of skills, which I think is really, really super.
You're definitely prepared for the skies.
Yes, it took me 3 years to pass, partly because I work, partly because the airfield's open Friday to Sunday, and partly because of the weather. Which in England is always a bit unpredictable, which we're known for. So doing it part-time meant that I had periods when perhaps I couldn't fly for a few weeks, and then you have to pick up because consistency is so important when you're learning to fly.
I can imagine.
It's like anything else, it's all about neural patterning, and so you do things over and over and over again to get the practice, and then suddenly all clicks together.
So now that you have your license, do you have to recertify every year in order to keep it?
You have to be checked out every so often, and you have to maintain your hours. You have to do a certain number of hours every year. But I think my first thing I'd like to do is I want to find a share in a plane, and also practice as much as possible.
Yes.
And the Air Club are really super. I'm still able to fly with the club.
It's like a family here.
It's a lovely, lovely club to be with. I've been very well supported, very well looked after. We're going to talk to the guys later about the radio and what they do there, but they look after you, make sure that you're okay and you feel confident in the air. Because particularly when you do your first solo, for example, that is one of the most amazing experiences of flying. That first time you're on your own in the plane.
It must be exhilarating.
It was very, very exciting.
Yes.
But also you know that you're responsible, and you've got to handle the plane. There's no instructor there anymore to say do this, do that, or think about the other. It's all on you. So that's quite a milestone for anyone who's taken, who is studying to be a pilot and training.
So my last question is, when are you taking me up?
As soon as you can make it.
I'm so excited.
Go for it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, because it is humid, I don't want to sound like a granny. None of you out there should.
I'm with Debbie Leggett, who is our flying display director. And Debbie, you've overseen the display today. What's it like being in charge for 2 whole hours of an event like this?
I'll give you 2 answers. If you'd asked me before the start of the show, I would have said incredibly scary and my nerves were on the edge. Now at the end of the day, I'm really relaxed and happy because everything went very, very well.
You're certainly smiling. How do you get to be an FDD?
I've been around it. I came in with the yak here. I used to commentate, fly around with Nigel. Then got to start helping out at shows, what we call the Flying Control Committee. So I'd be helping with other flying display directors. Then I went to the CAA. There was an approved course, 2-day course I attended to learn all about the rules, the regulations. Now I go off and do it on my own.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, there are not many women aviators, are there?
No, there aren't, unfortunately.
We're few in number. What advice would you give to any young woman or girl who was interested in aviation and wanted to fly?
If you're interested in aviation, go for it. If you love aircraft, just go and learn to fly. Don't worry about the men. There's loads of them out there, obviously, but I don't even think of it like that. It's just if you love aviation, go and do it.
Fantastic. Debbie, thank you so much.
No, it's fine.
You've had a very long weekend, and
Yep.
it's been terrific, and we loved it, every minute of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
We've had a fun and exciting day, but it's not over yet. Please join us for the 1940s hangar dance so we can dance the night away.
Party never ends this weekend. We're enjoying Big Bad Skyliner in the hangar dance.
We're here with Paul Henry Smith, CEO of the Light Aircraft Company. TLAC is one of the last manufacturers in the UK that actually allows people to make an aircraft in the privacy of their own home. Well, this is very exciting. Can you tell us about the Sherwood Ranger?
Yes, by all means. The Sherwood Ranger currently supplied in kit form to builders around the world. It's a two-seat open cockpit biplane constructed predominantly from aluminium and wood. It's powered by anything from a 65 through to a 100 horsepower engine, and we currently supply it in three forms. We supply it as a microlight, as a Group A aircraft, so you can fly it on a standard PPL license, and we also now manufacture an aerobatic version, which is flown in single. Whilst the aircraft has two seats, for aerobatic purposes, it's flown by a single person from the rear cockpit. The Sherwood has got some very unique features. Its primary one being that it's a wing fold aircraft, so within a couple of minutes you can get the wings folded back and either tow it home or tuck it up in a garage.
This is so fascinating.
Very versatile, very, very versatile.
I know I understand you're also part of the engineering center here at Old Buckenham. Can you tell us about that new endeavor?
That's correct. We formed a working alliance with Old Buckenham Airfield on the engineering side. We're based predominantly at Little Snoring Airfield, where we've got our manufacturing facility and our Part M approval, but we also can provide interim and emergency call-out services for aircraft owners that visit or are based at Old Buckenham Airfield.
Oh, that's wonderful. We're really excited to have you here, and thank you so much for sharing your information about the Sherwood Ranger.
Thank you very much.
We're here with Nigel Wilson, who's been an extremely busy display pilot today, flying 3 different planes. Here we are on the Yak-52. Nigel, I'm so fascinated about the history of the Yak-52. Yakovlev is short for Yak-52, is that correct?
Yep, that's right. You got it right.
Could you tell us about a little history about this? I think everybody would love it.
Yeah, the Yakovlev family actually started as a competition. The Russian government decided that they do things slightly different over there. They decided they'd run a competition for someone to design an aeroplane. And Mr. Yakovlev,
that was Alexander, right?
That's the one.
Oh, right.
At the time, he designed a glider and won the contract on the basis of that competition. Set up his own aircraft company. So there's actually quite a lot of different types of Yakovlevs that have been built right the way through the war, including some that had the same austere value as the Spitfire to the Russians. So it's got a very long history. This particular aeroplane's the Yak-52. It's built as a trainer. Whilst it might look quite old, the engine, another word for you, Ivchenko M14P. Right?
Love it.
It's a very reliable engine, a well-proven engine, so they built another aeroplane around it, basically. So this design, the Yak-52, came out around about the late 70s, early 80s, believe it or not, even though it looks like something from the 1940s. And this is the basic trainer that they train pilots on in Russia.
Right.
So
the Russian Air Force.
The Russian Air Force. Off the street, this is what you get into, having flown nothing before. It takes you right the way through your basic training, and you get out of this into a jet.
Can you tell us about the compressed air that powers this aircraft?
Yeah, it's actually got some really good systems on it, lots of redundancy. So bear in mind that in Russia they tend to have very hot summers and very cold winters. They need something that's reliable. So there's compressed air on the Yak, which is fed from a compressor from the engine, and that powers engine start, so it starts on compressed air. Also powers the brakes, the undercarriage, and also the flaps.
So that's the pneumatic system.
That's the pneumatic system. That's the pneumatic system. That's right. And we also have a spare cylinder on board as well, which is completely separate from the others, so that in the event of emergency, like we lose all the air or we lose the compressor, at least we can get the gear down and have some brakes to land.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing this information. I think it's wonderful. Here we are at a Vans RV8 and meeting our pilot, Matt Summers. Matt, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, thank you.
So I understand that you got a taste for flying at 7. At 18, you had your national pilot's license. And what was it like debuting at the air show at Old Buckenham in 2012?
Yeah, that's correct. Probably quite nerve-wracking. I'm sure most people are nervous when they first start doing this sort of thing, but you get used to it eventually. But exciting.
Yeah. What do you love about the Vans RV8? Is it the agility or the lightness? What do you love about flying it?
Well, it's a bit of everything really. It's a good all-round airplane, so it's fast, it cruises well, and it's aerobatics, so it does a bit of everything for me.
So do you think your dad knew at age 7 that what he was in for with your passion for aviation?
Well, I don't think he realised how much it was going to cost him. Yeah, no, he knew that I enjoyed it from the off.
So Matt Summers is definitely one to watch. Please watch him at the beginning of his career because it's inevitable that he's going to be an air display genius. Thanks so much for talking to us today.
No problem, thank you.
Join up ahead. The pilot's two aeroplanes acting as one.
And I have with me Alistair Kay and Andy Hill from Aviators, and absolutely delighted that you're both here this afternoon. You've given us the most beautiful and stunning precision display of flying this afternoon. I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your planes. Alistair.
Well, we fly the Van's RV8, which is a very popular aeroplane now. It's a home-built aeroplane. In fact, Andy built his own with his wife and is building another one. There are about 8,000 of these flying now, so it's a very well sorted aeroplane. It's a very well constructed and known aeroplane, but it's remarkable in what it can do, because it can do very good aerobatics, it can do very good cruising flying, it can operate from farm strips, it can go high, it can go very fast. In fact, we've just come back from Sunderland, and we were cruising at not far off 200 miles an hour coming down here, so you cover a lot of ground very quickly. But for the display flying, it's a very accurate aeroplane with great visibility, so you can see everything. There are very few blind spots, which is very important in formation, and the controls are very, very precise, and there's what you do, the aeroplane instantly responds to. So Andy's the pilot that's actually having to do most of the work. I'm just wandering around the sky, and he's actually having to make sure he's in the right place, so you better ask him about it, really.
Okay. Oh, you're wandering around the sky looks pretty awesomely accurate to me. Andy, what's it like following Alistair?
As I've described with formation flying, you don't get too involved in the position, and some of the time you're not quite sure what he's doing. You're just following references on the aeroplane. Alistair's being very modest there. That the hardest job in the formation or in the display world is keeping the aircraft presented nicely to the crowd, which by all accounts and from what I saw he did a very good job today. He also then has to fly the aeroplane very smoothly, so while he's trying to position the aircraft, if he makes a drastic turn or any maneuver, he's going to hear about it afterwards from me. So the fact, if you say I flew nice and close to him throughout, that's a credit to himself as well. But I line bits of the aircraft up and try and keep the aircraft in exactly the same position, and that works whether we're just flying straight and level or we're upside down or in the middle of a big wing over.
And is your relationship always that Alistair leads and you follow? Or
it is in this particular display team. I occasionally display other teams and might be a leader in that. Alistair does also the same, and he might be a wingman. But with us, we found rather than both taking turns and turns about, it's better to use Alistair's much greater display experience than mine. Let him do the leading, and I do the following.
And what else do you fly?
I occasionally fly Airbuses for a day job, for a well-known major European airline, as they say, but much more fun flying the RV8. But I instruct on some jets at North Weald, jet provosts. Occasionally allowed to fly Hunter, which is great fun, and also instruct on light aircraft like Extras and Bulldogs, doing simulated combat and basic flying instruction and formation.
So you're a very busy man.
Yes, keeps me busy during the summer.
Excellent.
And then in the winter, as Alistair said, back to building.
Excellent, thank you. And Alistair, I understand you've been flying for many years. You started as a glider pilot?
I started as a glider pilot really at school. So, at the age of 16 I flew gliders, and I flew gliders really all the time. That was what I did with all my spare time, and I did that for many years. And it's fantastic. I mean, gliding teaches you a huge amount about flying any sort of aeroplane. And if you can fly a glider accurately, you can put that into any aircraft that you fly. And interestingly, with what we do with these aeroplanes, which are not hugely powerful, they are quite powerful, but they're not hugely powerful, managing your speed and your energy and your height is very important, and that's what you do in a glider. So there are crossovers in that. And when I used to glide a lot, I used to do a lot of competitions, and you're flying in close proximity to other gliders, maybe for many hours. So there's a sort of formation element in that as well. So it's an interesting route, I think, for anybody to fly. Gliding is a great beginning.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both very much indeed. Thank you for a fantastic day. It's been great here at Old Buckenham, and you've contributed to it enormously.
Well, thanks very much. We love it here, and the organisation's great. The whole way that really Old Buckenham runs an air show is really, it's a credit to everybody. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Bye.
Thank you.
We're here with Brendan O'Brien, who's an aviation god and really needs no introduction. Brendan, you have 202 FAI world records, and you're trying for another one today. Is that correct?
Well, I certainly hope so. The weather is interesting. It's a lovely sunny day, wonderful. I love these shows like Old Buck because it's barnstorming, the real sort of nitty-gritty type of barnstorming. We got a wind across the runway onto the crowd, which makes things a little bit tricky, but it worked reasonably well yesterday. I kind of sort of did a tester. So hopefully today we're looking at less than 600 meters.
Isn't it usually 2,000 in the region for a regular?
It would be, yes. To be fair, the shortest one I've ever done before, which is now the the record for Europe, was 800 meters. And that was in Holland on grass.
All of our fingers and toes are crossed for you today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the history of your family circus, of your flying circus and barnstorming?
Yeah, I've been involved with air displays for over 40 years, and my big thing is it's about entertainment. The flying is
I think we know that about you.
Yeah, the flying is almost secondary. To me, it's entertainment, and look at all these wonderful people that come out, and it never fails to amaze me how bless you, the British public are. If it was actually raining cats and dogs now, people would be sitting on that flight line, huddled up.
We saw that last year.
Waiting for something to happen. And I will always go out there and perform. And one of the things about my show is, because I don't go above 100 feet, never mind below 100 feet, I don't go above 100 feet, because I get a nosebleed above 100 feet, then I can always perform.
So Taylor's Attleboro is a new microbrewery, and they have created this one-off real ale called Record Breaker specifically for you.
Oh, I've never had a an ale, a beer, a real ale, named after me before. So here's a first.
Here's
Old
cheers
Buck.
to a new record.
Cheers. Delicious. Delightful.
Lovely.
Rolling down the runway, pedal to the metal on the port. Brendan's taking off. No, Brendan's behind, Brendan. Good man. I can see the no-flame bonus vanishing before my very eyes. We're not going to get this coordinated. I think they should both reach out to each other. Brendan, there's a stick in the middle. Hold on to it, please. No, there's a stick in the middle. Accelerator down to the floor. They're trying to go for 70 this time. Brendan dives down, building his speed as well. Porsche got 60. Brendan's got his work cut out. We're going to touch. By my view, just one wheel, but me. Contact! Fantastic! Exceptional! Locked on! We have landed! How they get it down there, aren't you? I'm intrigued, I want to know. That's easy as that.
Reverse off, get away from the wheel locks.
Brendan Lawrence again. Well done. Brendan, stick. Use the stick. That's sort of it, Brendan. Yes, good. Concentrate. Remember all your left. That's the one. What a pilot. Brendan, you're brilliant. Brilliant. He has promised to give up smoking. Brilliant, Brendan. Matt Wilkins has something for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what he looks like out of the cockpit, rarely seen that way.
Old age pensioner. Yep.
allegedly an old age pensioner, certainly statistically probably the greatest pilot ever. I think you are anyway. We all love you. We named a beer after you, Brendan, as you know.
Yes, and I've had a taste. I've had a taste, yes.
Don't go on. Anyway, Brendan, we're really quite cheapskates here, so the best thing we can do, especially now that we've sold out to you, is present to you the pump clip from the beer pump that sold the thing out in the first place.
And give you a salute from the Wildcats momentarily.
But there we are. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll let you enjoy the Wildcats in a moment. But one more round of applause for Brendan O'Brien, the record breaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Wildcats 2014. Smoke on, get those cameras ready. You eye on them. The top one turns upside down. This is the mirror. Delta Bravo, definitive left, just off wing and Spitfire Mark 9, MH434.